A cobalt sky, whitewashed walls, and the endless glitter of the Aegean greeted Elena Varakis the moment she stepped off the ferry onto the Caldera side pier. She took a long breath that tasted like salt and thyme. Santorini was home turf. Her grandfather had tended vines on these cliffs, but she was here as a professional, summoned for what social media rumor called the wedding of the decade. Elena hoisted her battered camera bag and started up the snaking path toward Fira, rehearsing angles in her mind. Sunset silhouettes on the rim, reflections in pooled champagne, the bride's veil fluttering like a gull's wing. Halfway up the path, she heard a jaunty whistle and froze, recognizing the tune before the man himself appeared. The opening bars of Here Comes the Sun, Luke Carmichael's unofficial theme song. Elena didn't need to turn. Every photography magazine from New York to Melbourne had published the same headshot. Luke's wavy brown hair, his lopsided grin, the Leica dangling like an afterthought. He was her fiercest rival, the name clients dropped when they wanted to shave her quote. "Fancy meeting you here, Varakis," Luke said when he caught up. Winded, but grinning. "I thought my agent was joking when she said the bride hired 2 shooters for 1 wedding." Elena resumed walking. "Technically, I was the groom's pick, and you were the bride's. They couldn't agree, so they're paying double. Lucky for you, lucky for them," Luke corrected, falling into step. 2 perspectives. 1 love story. Or 1 very expensive tug of war, she muttered, but the breeze whipped her words away. They climbed in silence, matching strides like dueling metronomes. At the summit, the town spilled before them, cascades of white domes, cobalt doors, and bougainvillea bursting in magenta confession. Their hotel, the Estrella Suites, was carved into the cliffside, every room a cave of cool marble and million-dollar views. At check-in, they received identical envelopes from the wedding planner, Callista Demos, an hour-by-hour schedule, studio passes for the rehearsal dinner, and a polite note reminding them to collaborate for the happiness of the couple. Elena pictured Callista writing that with a forced smile, praying these 2 award-winning egos wouldn't turn her timeline into rubble. Luke skimmed the schedule. "Looks like we'll be attached at the hip, Varakis. Morning prep, cathedral vows, sunset yacht cruise, midnight fireworks. Hope you don't snore. They've booked us the same suite, 2 bedrooms," he added as her eyebrows shot up. "Budget considerations, supposedly." Elena pinched the bridge of her nose. "Fine, but your gear stays out of my half of the living room." "My gear is very well trained," Luke said. "It heals on command." She couldn't help a reluctant laugh. No wonder brides loved him. He was a walking rom-com line. The problem was that behind the charm, Luke Carmichael had talent, bold colors, cinematic framing, the instinct to shoot from a child's eye or a bird's wing. Elena's own style was intimate, unobtrusive, moments stolen between breaths. Critics called her work haiku, Luke's fireworks. Together, they could cover a wedding from every angle, or burn the cliff down trying. That evening at the rehearsal dinner, Elena positioned herself near the stone archway of the taverna, long lens ready for stolen glances. Luke roamed with a wide angle, cracking jokes, pulling laughter like a magician extracts scarves. The bride, Juliet, a Parisian fashion influencer, glowed in silk the color of moon milk. The groom, Andreas, a Greek shipping heir, watched her like a man who still didn't believe his luck. At one point, Luke stepped into Elena's frame. Purposely or not, she lowered her camera. "Carmichael, your head's blocking my bouquet toss." "Sorry, love. Borrowing the view." He snapped twice, then turned his camera toward her. The shutter fluttered like a wink. "Gotcha." "Delete that." "Can't. It's gold. He flipped the screen. Elena, caught mid-lecture, sunset brushing her cheek with bronze. Her scowl could have melted glacier ice, but her eyes, she hated the way Luke's lens saw her, looked alive, all fire and sea. She tried to sound irate, but curiosity slipped in. What settings? F2, 1250. Natural light. Your face doesn't need editing. Her pulse misfired. Compliment or tactic? She pivoted away and refocused on Juliet, refusing to wonder how Luke smelled like cedar and something warmer. Later, back at the suite, they dumped memory cards onto matching laptops at opposite ends of the common room. The balcony doors were open, cicadas droning. Elena culled images with surgical focus, but a thumbnail caught her eye. Luke, leaning against a pillar, eyes soft as he watched the couple slow dance. She realized she'd snapped him accidentally, maybe subconsciously. She magnified the shot. He was smiling, but it wasn't his showman grin. This one was quieter, almost private. She flagged it, then berated herself. The album was for Juliet and Andreas, not a study of Luke Carmichael's secret expressions. Across the room, Luke swore lightly. Card glitch. Lost 10 frames from the first toast. Maybe the universe doesn't like your jokes, she offered without looking up. He laughed. No sting in it. Or maybe it's leaving room for your superior coverage. Elena bit back a smile. For years, their rivalry had been mostly remote. Magazine spreads, social media teasing, the occasional gadget review panel where they argued about mirrorless versus DSLR. In person, the sparring felt different, warmer, even when barbed. Morning prep unfolded in a suite fragrant with peonies and hairspray. Elena floated between Juliet's makeup chair and the window where Santorini's caldera shone like liquid glass. She captured the maid of honor lacing corset ribbons, Juliet's mother wiping tears before mascara set. Luke was assigned to Andreas, but he slipped in, crouching low for an artistic shot of the bride's heel poised above mosaic tile. Wrong suite, Elena whispered as he straightened up. Right light, he whispered back, eyes bright. I'll trade you 20 frames from the groom's side, she pretended to consider. Throw in your secret for that airy skin tone, and we have a deal. The ceremony unfurled in the blue-domed cathedral of St. Stylianos. Incense curled, a choir's hymn braided through the nave. Elena took the aisle. Luke perched in the loft, bird's eye view. Their shutters echoed each other, antiphonal prayer. When Andreas slipped the ring on Juliet's finger, Elena framed their hands. Luke captured the bride's tears from above, diamond glinting like a second ring. Outside, white rice hailed upon the couple. Sunlight exploded off the bell tower. Elena switched to her 85mm just as Luke leaned into her frame again. Instinctively, she elbowed him. The resulting shot skewed, catching only the lower half of Andreas's grin and Luke's flustered profile. Sorry, they blurted together, and then both laughed so hard the next series of shots shook beyond salvation. Callista, the planner, hustled them onto the yacht for the sunset cruise. 50 guests, 2 bartenders, and 1 anxious captain steering along the caldera rim. Elena loved shooting on water, the shifting reflections, the clean horizon, but tonight the deck was crowded. Luke navigated with the ease of a man in his natural habitat, swinging from rail to rail, coaxing elders into group photos, children into pirate poses. At golden hour, the sky ripened to peach. Juliet and Andreas stood at the bow, wind sculpting her veil into a comet tail. Elena crouched for the classical perspective, but Luke signaled her. Come up here. He'd climbed onto the roof of the captain's cabin, a perch only big enough for one. He pointed at her, then at the couple, indicating a composition she hadn't considered, shooting through a coil of rope that framed them like a Greek key. She hesitated, annoyed at how perfect the idea was. Reluctantly, she passed him her camera, clambered up beside him, and peered through the viewfinder. The rope's rough texture curled around Juliet's radiant face, Andreas's proud stance. It was cliché and fresh at once, a postcard from Olympus. Elena clicked. "I'll credit you." "Don't. Just invite me to your TED Talk when you present it." They shared a grin that felt like a secret, the boat rocking gently beneath them, sunset painting shadows across Luke's cheekbones. The reception unfolded on a clifftop villa lit by 100 lanterns. Live bouzouki mixed with Parisian jazz. Fireflies of camera flashes sparkled. Elena chased grandparents on the dance floor. Luke hovered near the dessert table, where a croquant bouche towered like caramel Alps. At one point, they collided near the bar, and Luke steadied her elbow. Electricity zipped through her skin. She forgot what she'd been about to order. "Thirsty?" he asked softly. "Parched," she admitted, though water wasn't the issue. They each grabbed a glass of Assyrtiko wine and found themselves leaning against the same marble balustrade overlooking the Black Sea. The party's music drifted up, muffled by distance. Luke sipped. "You know we're making Callista very nervous." Elena smiled. "That's half the fun." Another silence, companionable this time. Moonlight silvered Luke's profile. He looked not like a competitor, but a comrade who understood the strange privilege of freezing time for strangers. "It's odd," he said, swirling his wine, "spending every hour chasing someone else's love story. Makes you notice the moments you're missing in your own life." Elena set her glass down. "You think we're missing something? Maybe not." His eyes lifted to hers, steady. "Maybe we're just previewing." Her breath snagged. "Luke!" A roar of applause erupted below. The first dance. Reflex overrode emotion. They grabbed cameras and raced down. Juliet and Andreas moved like silver fish beneath lanterns. Elena circled clockwise. Luke counter, their lenses weaving a double helix. Twice they brushed shoulders. Twice Elena felt heat bloom. She wondered if her camera caught tremors in her hands. Mid-song, Andreas twirled Juliet, and Luke flashed Elena a dare. "Dance?" She shook her head, laughing, but he lunged into her frame, taking her free hand, spinning her one turn. The crowd whooped, assuming it was choreographed entertainment. Elena's heart cartwheeled. Luke released her with a flourish, and she caught a candid of him watching her. Eyes bright, mouth stunned as if he'd surprised himself. The music shifted to faster bouzouki. Elena shot from behind the DJ, sweat salty on her upper lip. Luke appeared, tugging her gently away from the speakers. "Come," he mouthed. He led her beyond the lanterns to a dirt path edging the caldera. No guests, no planner, just moon, rock, and the whisper of waves 300 meters below. She opened her mouth, protest, question, she didn't know, but he raised his camera and clicked. The shutter's whisper floated between them, intimate as a confession. "What did you see?" she asked. "The way you look when you're about to argue and also agree." She swallowed. "Show me." He lowered the camera. "Later. I'll trade it for something." "What?" "Breakfast." The word landed like a pebble, dropped in still water, ripples widening. Elena realized, with surprising clarity, that the rivalry had been a rope they'd tugged from opposite cliffs, unaware it was also a bridge. On Santorini's jagged edge, the bridge looked solid. She nodded. "Okay, breakfast." A shooting star scratched the sky. Somewhere behind them, rockets launched, the midnight fireworks Callista had promised. Luke turned, snapping long exposure of colored petals, exploding over the caldera. Elena did the same. Their shutters synchronized, capturing twins of the same fleeting bloom. The wedding wound down near 3 a.m. Guests spilled into shuttles, tipsy and sated. Back at Estrella Suites, Elena and Luke transferred final images. The common room glowed with dueling monitors, each exposing thousands of frozen instants. Elena's lids drooped, but she forced herself to sort flagged favorites for the morning slideshow. Across the room, Luke rubbed his eyes. Coffee? It's practically dawn. Make it double. He brewed Greek coffee thick as tar. When he returned, his voice was softer. I've been scrolling our shots from the first 2 days. Something odd. What? Elena turned her chair. He rotated his laptop toward her. A grid of thumbnails appeared, half his and half hers. In each, the unintentional subject was the other person, Elena framed in silhouette against stained glass. Luke, laughing beneath fairy lights. Elena, hair whipping on a boat. Luke, leaning toward her on the balustrade. Neither had planned it, yet together they formed a parallel narrative. Two photographers documenting each other falling softly out of rivalry. Elena's throat tightened. We can't give these to the couple. No, Luke agreed. They're not part of their story. Then what are they? He met her gaze. Ours, I hope. The air felt charged, like the split second before a bulb flashes. Elena closed her laptop. Let's finish the slideshow. Then we can talk about breakfast. Luke's answering smile was quiet, real. The one she'd caught in her accidental shot on night 1. Deal! They worked side by side, selecting vows, dances, fireworks, weaving still images with gentle crossfades. At 6:01 a.m., they exported the video and carried a tablet to the villa, where Juliet and Andreas, sleepless in post-wedding glow, awaited. The slideshow played against ivory stucco, dawn's first light coloring each frame. The couple laughed, cried, applauded. Andreas clapped Luke's shoulder. Juliet embraced Elena. Callista exhaled a week's worth of tension. Elena, Luke, the bride said, voice thick with gratitude. I don't know how you captured every angle. We had help, Elena answered, glancing at Luke. 2 perspectives, he added, eyes on her. 1 love story. Back at the hotel terrace, the sun surged over the horizon like a photographer's flash. Elena shivered. The night's breeze lingered, but a new warmth pooled inside. Luke set down 2 plates of Kuluri rings and a tiny vase holding a sprig of bougainvillea. Breakfast, as promised, he said, sitting opposite. Elena lifted her camera. Luke laughed, did the same. They aimed at each other, shutters clicking simultaneously. No posed grins, no staged romance, just the simple wonder of 2 rivals who had spent their careers seeking perfect snapshots, only to discover the best images were the ones they never intended. Luke lowered his camera. So, where's your next assignment? Florence, she replied. You? Supposed to be Prague. He tore a piece of bread, thoughtful. But I could reroute. Elena felt the future shift, like pulling focus to reveal a wider frame. The rivalry that had defined them was only the first chapter. Ahead lay collaborations, continents, perhaps arguments over filters and framing, but also breakfasts like this, candid and bright. She reached across the table, touching his wrist lightly. Let's see where the light leads. Luke's eyes lit, shutters of blue opening. Together? She smiled, pressing the imaginary shutter button in her mind, capturing this moment with perfect clarity. Together.